Hi everyone, this is Helen and welcome to Modern Pepper. So today we will be making Korean dumplings. In Korean, dumplings are called Mandu. Although it's spelled as Mandoo, I'm going to teach you how to phonetically pronounce Mandu. M-H-A-N, do, D-U-E. Mandu, not Mandu. And Korean Mandu is very different from other Asian dumplings, so I'm really excited to share this recipe with you. And today's recipe will also include a vegetarian option where you do not have to add beef or pork and still make delicious Korean Mandu. So today's Mandu recipe will include how to make the stuffing for your Mandu, as well as how to wrap the Mandu with the stuffing, and it will also include how to cook the Mandu. So typically Korean Mandu is made three ways. One being 물만두, where you blanch the freshly made mandu in a pot of boiling water, and it's so juicy and so watery, and when you blanch it, so yum. Second way is steaming it, and steaming your mandu is so delicious too because the outer skin of the dumpling comes out really chewy. It's so pillowy at the same time too. And the third way of cooking mandu is pan frying them, and it comes out super crispy, and yet the inside stuffing is still moist and steamy inside. It is so good. So I really am an equal opportunist when it comes to eating mandu in all different ways. So I really don't have a favorite way to enjoy mandu. I mean, all three ways, 물만두, 찐만두, and mandu are all of my favorites. It's like my three children. Like, I don't really have a favorite. Although I tell each of my kids that they are actually my favorite, but not to tell the others. But anyway, mandu is so good all three ways. So I'm so looking forward to sharing this recipe with you. And I will also show you how to freeze your mandu, and you have to freeze them properly so that you could enjoy your mandu at a later time. So make sure to watch to the end. All right, to get started, we need some tofu. You know, the best way to open it is like take your knife and just go around and open it like so. And then you open it like that. And then you want to drain out the water. So after you drain out the water, just flip it over and it comes out like that. It's pretty easy. And for our recipe today, we only need half of this. This is about 8 ounces. The other half that you're not going to use, I will put it in a container with fresh water and then put a lid on it and then keep it in your refrigerator and try to use this within the next 2-3 days. Using a cheesecloth, we're going to take our tofu, put in the center like so, and then we're going to wrap it up. Get a little bowl, and then you just want to squeeze the excess water in the tofu. So the tofu that I'm using right now is firm, so you want to definitely grab the firm kind, not the silken kind. That will not work. So just squeeze. So I'm turning my cheesecloth like that and just squeezing out the excess water. Look how much it drains, that much, okay? And then we're gonna open our cheesecloth. It's all drained out, and then just dump it in here. And I have 4 stalks of scallions, green onions, and we're gonna finely mince them, cut it down the middle like so, and just slice them thin. Add it to our bowl, bunch them up together like so, and just start cutting. And we also need half of a small onion, white onion, and finally mince them. And then turn it around and just hold everything in place and just go down. And we are almost done. And put our onions in here. And we also need 4 garlic cloves. And the trick to removing the garlic peel is cut off the root end like so. You take your knife, you place it flat, and then you make a fist and you strike it down. And then it just falls out like that. So easy. And then bunch it up, and then just finely mince your fresh garlic cloves. Here we go, and we're gonna add this to our bowl here. The other 2 vegetables that I also like to add to my mandu is mung bean sprouts and cabbage. So these two guys we're gonna blanch in hot water. Now, every mandu recipe is a little bit different for each household. I mean, the way I grew up making mandu with my family is we like to make our mandu very, very rich in vegetables. We always add mung bean sprouts and cabbage, and these two guys together creates this like really nice, juicy and crunchy stuffing to your mandu. So when you bite into your mandu, it's really refreshing. And then with the rest of the ingredients all together, it just keeps everything really moist and super crunchy and so yummy. And I'm gulping my mouth again, as I always do when I'm cooking, because I'm really getting so hungry thinking about how delicious this stuffing will be. So this is about a half a pound of mung bean sprouts. This is a quarter of a medium to large size cabbage. So I know what you're thinking. Put your pen and paper down because you don't have to write any of this down. And this goes for all of my other recipes. All the ingredient list in detail will be available at modernpepper.com. And it will also include recipe instructions. So you really don't need to write anything down. Just kick back and relax, and when you're ready to make this, go to modernpepper.com, and I will have the link for this recipe in the description box below. So in a big pot, fill it about 2/3 of the way, and make sure your water is boiling hot like so. And then we're just going to make a salt bath, and you just want to add enough salt so that the water's slightly salty and not too salty. Okay, so taste it. So we're gonna add our mung bean sprouts in here. Your heat is still at high, and notice that I have a bowl of cold water. No need to put ice in there because we're gonna bring it to the sink as soon as we take it out. So we wanna blanch our mung bean sprouts for less than 30 seconds. You're gonna feel like, oh, I need to keep it in there a little bit longer, but don't do it. Alrighty, it's been 30 seconds, and we're gonna take it out and put it in our bowl of cold water. And make sure to rinse this 3 to 4 times in running cold water. Alrighty, to blanch our cabbage, make sure to separate the leaves like so. And we're gonna use the same pot of water that we just used to blanch our mung bean sprouts. So put it in here. Your heat is still at super high. And this too, we're gonna blanch it for 30 seconds and not a second longer. We just wanna literally just shock it in some hot boiling water and then take it out. I have a big bowl of cold water in here, and we're gonna transfer it in here and bring it to the sink as soon as 30 seconds is up. So we're just gonna take it out. And it's still gonna look very crispy and hard, and that's what we want. We don't want our cabbage leaves to come out of the pot all wilted. That means you overcooked your cabbage leaves. Take out the rest. And just like our mung bean sprouts, bring it over to your sink, rinse it in cold water at least 3 times. So we blanched our mung bean sprouts and our cabbage. So take a bunch that could fit into your hand like so, and just squeeze. We just want to squeeze out a little bit. Don't overdo it because we still want the natural juices of the mung bean sprouts. So I'm squeezing out maybe 5 times like so, and then put it to the side. Just repeat the process for the rest of the mung bean sprouts. Squeeze. So now that we're done squeezing out the excess water from our mung bean sprouts, we're just gonna roughly chop them. So don't over chop it either. Just roughly chop it like so and add it to our bowl. Now, here's our blanched cabbage. I mean, I love having blanched cabbage. Some of you may already know this, but in Korean tradition, we also eat lettuce wraps using fresh lettuce leaves. But the other sam that's also popular is having sam with blanched cabbage leaves. And this is a really great way to enjoy sam. I like to have cabbage sam with grilled fish. So grilled mackerel is really great, grilled salmon, and you put a little bit of rice, a little bit of samjang, which is the lettuce wrapped condiment, and some grilled fish, and you roll it all up and you eat it, and it's just so juicy and watery from the cabbage. It is so good. So if you have not watched my video on how to make samjang or how to make lettuce wrap, make sure to check out that video. Because I'm so hungry and I love blanched cabbage, I'm just gonna have a taste. As you can hear, it's super crunchy because we literally blanched this for 30 seconds. And it's so juicy and watery and sweet. So what we're gonna do next is take our cabbage and we're just gonna chop it all up and put it in our bowl. And it doesn't have to be super fine, just chop it up into small pieces. Oh wow, this blanched cabbage is so good. I just want to take this and put a little bit of samjang on the tip and then just eat it. Oh god, this is so good. I'm getting so hungry. All right, must concentrate. We gotta make mandu. So Korean mandu, there's so many variations. One of the other popular mandu stuffing is made with 당면 noodles. So 당면 noodles are your potato starch noodles that's used to make japchae. And I know many of you love japchae, so that's a really good ingredient to also add here. But today, I'm not gonna be using japchae because next week's video, we're gonna make kimchi mandu. And in the kimchi mandu, I'm gonna add the 당면 noodles. And for kimchi mandu, it's very, very common to have 당면 noodles in there. But for regular Korean mandu, you could add it if you want, or you don't have to add it. And again, there's so many variations. There's also bunchu mandu, where it's stuffed mostly with chives. So the variations are limitless, but make it the way you like it. And this is sort of our family recipe where we load it with loads of vegetables. And as far as your protein of choice, if you're a vegetarian, skip it because you have your tofu as your source of protein. Today I'm going to be using ground beef. This is about 1/2 pound and we're going to marinate this. So I have a tablespoon of soy sauce, 1/2 tablespoon of garlic powder, and I have 1/2 tablespoon of honey powder. Now you could also just use regular honey, or if you prefer to use sugar instead. But as you may have seen from my other videos, I prefer to cook with honey. And again, that's my personal choice. And to this, we're gonna add a few pinches of salt, 2 generous pinches of salt, and some black pepper. About 10 turns on your pepper mill. And I'm going to put on my disposable kitchen gloves. As you may know, moms, we tend to overwash our hands because we're just always constantly cleaning up. I have to use these kitchen gloves or else my skin is just like falls apart. If you're interested in getting these disposable kitchen gloves, you could go to any Korean supermarket and go to the houseware section. You could find them there, or visit modernpepper.com and I will have links for you to purchase this online and have it conveniently shipped to your house. So mix your ground beef, put this to the side, and to our bowl, we're gonna add 2 eggs. We're gonna add 1.5 cups of panko powder. And if you don't wanna use panko powder, which is Japanese tempura breadcrumbs, you could certainly supplement with your choice of flour. So you could use potato flour, you could use whole wheat flour, whatever you fancy, you could use that instead of panko powder. And then we're gonna add a few pinches of salt. That's 3 generous pinches of salt, and we're gonna add some black pepper. So I would do like 30 to 40 turns on your pepper mill, or 1/2 teaspoon. And I have a tablespoon of sesame oil, 1/2 teaspoon of toasted sesame seed salt, and we're just gonna mix it. So the key to making your stuffing for dumplings is you want to season it so that it's slightly salty but not too salty, because when we eat our dumpling, we're going to also dip it in our soy sauce dipping sauce. Mix it well and then we'll have a taste. Oh, I wish you could smell this. I mean, the fragrance from the onions and the fresh garlic and the sesame oil just is giving off this such nice aroma. Oh my God, it's getting me so hungry. I feel like I'm gonna have a taste to make sure it's salty enough. It's good, but I think I want it a little bit saltier. I'm gonna add 2 generous pinches here. And for me, I feel like saltiness and sweetness is so personal. So that's why at this point, just mix it and taste it. And you just want it slightly salty, not too salty. So mix it. All right, now let's have another taste. Now it's perfectly balanced saltiness. So now that this is ready, I'm gonna add our beef in here. And the reason why I didn't add the beef earlier before mixing it was because I didn't want to taste this with the raw beef in there. So that's why we're just gonna add it now. So look at that. Doesn't that look good already? So what you need to do next is cover this up, put it in your refrigerator for 15 minutes before you start stuffing and wrapping your mandu. I want to make a quick announcement because next week we will be making kimchi mandu. If you love kimchi, I mean, you have to have kimchi mandu. And it's actually very easy to make. So make sure to click on that pink button that you see at the corner right here. It says subscribe. Click on that so that you will be notified when I upload my kimchi mandu recipe. This mandu stuffing is not something that you can make a day in advance, because if you let the stuffing hang out in your refrigerator overnight, you'll see a pool of liquid at the bottom. The saltiness from our seasoning will pull out all the juices from the vegetables and the meat, and the last thing you want to do is stuff your mandu with watery, soggy stuffing. That would not be good. But I will show you how to freeze your mandu so that you could store it in your freezer and be able to enjoy it another time. Now, the recipe that we're using today will yield you anywhere between 4 to 5 dozen mandus, depending on how fat you stuff your mandus. Korean mandu is always served with soy sauce dipping sauce on the side, and this is super easy to make. This is a tablespoon of soy sauce and a tablespoon of water and half a tablespoon of brown rice vinegar and some minced green onions. This is about half a tablespoon of minced green onions. And this is Korean gaesogum, which is toasted sesame seed salt. Just a dash or two on top, and some sesame oil. And the sesame oil is just a little bit. You just want to put 1, 2, like that. To make it a little bit spicy, you could put a dash or 2 of Korean red pepper flakes called gochugaru, and I'm gonna just put 2 dashes. Now, if you want to make it spicy, you could also add some cayenne pepper. Mix it up. Ooh, it smells so good. I mean, the fragrance from the sesame oil and the vinegar we added is just like making the soy sauce and everything else that we had added in here just like bloom in its natural fragrance. Oh, it smells so good. I wish you could smell this. All right, let's have a quick taste. Oh my God, that's like waking up all the senses in my mouth. And the soy sauce is like perfectly salty, not too salty because we added the water, and the vinegar and the sesame oil and the sesame seeds with the gochugaru and green onions all together. This is a really, really good dipping sauce. I would like pour this on some salad and eat it too. So this dipping sauce, you can make it a day or 2 in advance. Just put it in an airtight container and store it in your refrigerator. All right, so our stuffing has rested for 15 minutes in the refrigerator, so it is ready for us. Now, as far as the dumpling wrapping, I mean, you can make it at home, but it is so much work. I mean, why would you if you could go buy it? But if you have a crew of family members that are willing to make it, by all means make it. It's pretty easy. But I like to use my energy in making more mandu instead of spending my energy making the mandu skin or the wrapping. So I like to go buy it. If you live near a Chinese supermarket, they have the most selection when it comes to dumpling wrappings. I mean, it goes anywhere from like pot stickers to shumai to gyoza and wonton wrappings. I mean, literally there's at least a dozen selections, but the one that I like to use is called sugal wraps. This is like the perfect amount of thinness for me. It's not too thin, but it's not too thick. And then the other option is you could go to a Korean market. Now, if you go to a Korean market, they rarely have fresh dumpling wraps. If you go to a Korean market and go to the freezer section, there will be a handful of selections when it comes to dumpling wraps. The one that I like to buy at Korean market is the chapsal mandu pi. Basically, it's mandu wrap that's made with sweet rice flour, and these come frozen, so when you bring it home, let it thaw out in your refrigerator overnight. The chapsal mandu pi is super good. It has this like chewy texture to the dumpling wraps. So my choice is either to use chapsal mandu pi or Chinese sugal wraps. I mean, they're both really good. These two are my top 2 preferences when it comes to dumpling wraps. So when you open these dumpling wraps, just open it so that you could just open the lid like this and close it, because if you take this whole thing out and let it sit on the counter as you're wrapping, it will start to get dry, and we want to actually keep the moisture that's naturally in here inside the package. And then the other ingredient that you need is just some room temperature water. Now in my family, when we make mandu, it's usually usually when there's a family gathering and we decide, okay, this is what we're going to do as an activity so every member of the family could get involved. Yes, even the men get involved and they make it while they're watching sports, but everyone must participate or else you don't get any mandu. When we start making the mandu, we make it so that we could freeze it right away. And then as we're making it, in between somebody volunteers and makes the mandu so we could eat the mandu while we're making it. So it's really fun. So I know it's the holiday season and you might have a lot of family members joining you, and this is a perfect family activity that you could get all members involved, including little children, because little children could also make their mandu in their own funny shape sizes, and they're actually very excited to make them look really weird, and then they love eating their weird looking mandu, so it's really cute. So to start freezing your mandu, get a small tray or baking sheet that would fit inside your freezer and put a sheet of saran wrap paper like this. As you make your mandu, we're just going to lay it across. So grab your mandu skin, take a spoonful of your stuffing and put it in here, and you'll figure it out as you make more how much stuffing is like the perfect amount that you could stuff. Take your finger, dip it in water, and just put some water around the rim, just on one side, just half of it, and then you fold it over. And you want to first start with sealing the middle top. So seal the middle top like so and press it down, and then you want to start sealing one end. And the key to making mandu is to make sure there's no air bubbles inside the mandu. So you want it so that it's just stuffing and you seal it. And the second critical part of making your mandu is making sure that the seal is tight. And then you just place it down like so. And then here's our second one. And depending on the size of the dumpling wrap too, some of them come really big, then you could stuff more. And some people like the taste of this dumpling skin more than the stuffing, so then they would stuff less of the stuffing inside. And again, seal the middle top part, center top part like so. So you're probably wondering, Helen, your seal doesn't have that pretty fan fold. Well, yeah, it doesn't. Because I'm not an expert at making the fan fold. My mom is. She could literally make, for the time it takes me to make one dumpling wrap, my mom could make 5 more. Anyway, so once you cook this, all this extra flat space is gonna start like wilting and folding over naturally, so it's gonna look pretty. It may not look pretty now, but it will look pretty after you cook it. And just keep on going. All right, here's our last mandu for our little tray here. So when we make mandu in my family, like my mom, there's a Korean saying that she has really big hands. She loves making mandu as a family. So this little package probably has about 50 dumpling skins. My mom would buy 10 to 12 of these packages and make that much mandu at once. I mean, she gets a bowl that's way bigger than this, and she makes like so much stuffing that it like towers over. For those of you who understand exactly what I'm talking about, if you have a mom who loves to make like hundreds and hundreds of mandu in one setting, I mean, please comment and let me know. I would love to hear from you. I mean, by the time I'm done helping her, literally my thumb is totally so sore. My index finger is completely numb. I mean, it's a lot of work. But, you know, when you do it together, it's a good family bonding time, because this is when you start talking about stuff and family drama and all that stuff. And you get, of course, you know, the Asian motherly guilt lecturing here and there too, of course. And you want to space out your mandu on your tray so that there's space in between each mandu as it's resting. And then you take a sheet of saran wrap and then you cover it like so, just loosely. And then put this in your freezer and get another tray going. And as you make it, bring that other tray and start layering your mandu on top in between each mandu that's here. Let's put these guys in the freezer and continue making the rest of our mandu. All right, here's our tray of mandu that we put in earlier, and I have a second batch of mandu that we just made. And you just want to lay it across on top like so, and make sure there's space between each mandu and that they're not touching each other. And here's our last one. And I have a big sheet of saran wrap that I'm gonna just lay on top. So with each layer of mandu, put a saran wrap on it and cover it, and then go back to making more mandu now. So I just added my third layer of freshly made mandu to our tray that was in the freezer. And the next thing to do before you let it freeze for 24 hours is to properly wrap it. So I'm gonna wrap it on top like so, and I'm also gonna wrap it sideways because the mandu skin is so delicate that if you let it get exposed to the freezing air in the freezer, it'll start crackling and then it'll start breaking. And the last thing you want to do is have to cook with mandu with the skin that's falling apart, and by the time you steam it or blanch it in hot water, it'll be a hot mess. And who wants to eat hot mess of a mandu? You want your mandu to be nice and tight and sealed so that when you go to cook it, it comes out perfect. This tray needs to be in the freezer for at least 24 hours because we want our mandu to be frozen rock hard. So these guys will need to go and sleep in the freezer for 24 hours. It's been 24 hours since our mandus have been resting in the freezer. Remove the saran wrap. Take your plastic bag and put them into the portion size you want. And for me, I usually like to package them into 1 dozen. Tie it up like so. And of course, you always have to double bag everything. So put it in a Ziploc bag. And here's our last bag of our frozen mandu. And here's our 3 bags of frozen mandu that you can keep in your freezer and take it out when you're ready to eat more mandu. Once I freeze my mandu, I try to consume my mandu within a month. Okay, to make our 물 mandu or water blanched mandu, we need a pot of boiling hot water in a big pot, and we're gonna create a salt bath. So just put enough salt so that the water is a bit salty, and then we're gonna take our mandu and put it in here. I'm adding a dozen mandu. And notice how big the pot is. If you put too much mandu or overcrowd the pot with too much mandu, what it does is then it brings down the temperature of the hot water, and then instead of your mandu cooking and freely swimming around in a pot of boiling water, your mandu will then start to get bloated because it doesn't have enough water to just float around and cook. So it's very important to use a big pot and just put less than 1/3 of mandu for the amount of water you are boiling, and let it hang out. So once you start seeing the mandu float to the top like so, let it cook for another 2 minutes on high heat, and then we'll take them out. All right, it's been 2 minutes, and notice that I have a big bowl with ice and water. We're gonna turn our heat off, and we're gonna take 2-3 mandus at a time, shake off the excess water, and then we're just gonna dunk it in here, literally, to give it a quick ice bath. Drain out the excess water and let it rest on this colander, and continue taking out the mandu. And this ice bath is to stop the mandu skin from cooking because we want the mandu skin to stay intact. To make our steamed mandu or 찐만두, I'm using a pressure cooker, and I have 2 cups of boiling water. And I'm gonna drop my stand in here, and I put some cabbage on the bottom so it protects the skin of our mandu. And I'm just gonna drop it in here like so. My lid goes on. I'm gonna lock it, and my heat is at high. We're gonna wait for the pressure to build at its maximum. Our pressure has reached its max, so I'm gonna lower the heat to the lowest setting and let this go for 2 minutes. It's been 2 minutes, and we're gonna slowly release the pressure and let this go for another minute. All right, it's been a good minute, and we're gonna do our final release. So it's important to slowly release the pressure when you're making mandu. And I love using the pressure cooker to steam my mandu because it's super fast as opposed to using just your regular stovetop pot. We're gonna unlock and release. Ooh, look at our mandu. Look at that. It looks perfectly steamed, and now we're gonna quickly transfer this to a plate. To start frying our mandu, you need to preheat your nonstick frying pan so it's hot. We're gonna quickly add our mandu and space it out so it's not touching each other. And then take your piping hot water. That's about a 1/4 cup of hot water. Put a piece of foil down and put a lid on it. And my heat is at high, and we're gonna let this cook for about anywhere between 45 seconds to 60 seconds, or until all the water that we just poured in here has completely evaporated. Okay, so all the water has evaporated, and we're gonna quickly add our oil. I'm using olive oil. Add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And lower your heat to medium now, and then move your pan around to evenly distribute the oil, like so. All right, it's been about good 2 minutes, and we're just gonna gently flip it over to see the color. And this is the color we're looking for. Golden brown. Turn everything over. Remember to just move the pan around to redistribute the oil. Like so, and let it cook on this side at medium temperature for another 2 minutes or until it's golden brown. All right, it's been about good 2 minutes, and we're just gonna check. So it's been cooking beautifully, and this is the color that we're looking for, golden brown. Okay, so before we take it off the frying pan, we're just gonna finish it off by adding our foil and our lid back on, and let it rest like this for 60 seconds, and then we're gonna take it off the frying pan. And it's been 60 seconds, so we're gonna take everything off, and we're gonna quickly transfer everything to our plate. Look at that. I mean, it's like perfectly fried, and you can see how the skin is so crunchy. It's gonna be so good in your mouth. I hope you could taste it. All right, now it's time to taste. So look at our platter of mandu. We have mandu here, which was blanched in hot boiling water. And then we have our steamed mandu that we cooked in our pressure cooker. And then we have our pan-fried, super crispy mandu. I'm drooling in my mouth right now. So somebody has to taste this and let you know how it tastes. So I will do that for you, gladly. So I'm gonna start with our mandu. What I like to do is I like to make a little slit on top, like so. And then I take a little bit of our soy sauce dipping sauce, and I like to kind of try to pour the sauce inside the stuffing so it kind of stays in there. This is gonna be so good. And mandu, because we poached it in hot water, that it tends to be very watery and juicy. So I always try to eat it over a plate, or else like I'll make a complete mess. So I'm gonna have a bite. So it's really hot, so I always let my mandu rest for 2 to 3 minutes after I transfer it to a plate, or else you could literally burn your mouth. And then also it's really not pretty when you have to spit it back out, because it's literally piping hot. It's not cute at all. Boy, it's so good. As you can probably hear, you could hear the crunchiness from the cabbage and the mung bean sprouts. And then the stuffing, for me, it's like a perfect balance of tofu and beef. And it's not really salty, so that you want to go back and actually dip a little bit of the soy sauce. Then with the soy sauce dipping, it just takes it to another level of yumminess. If I could feed you, I would literally feed you. I would say, open your mouth, say, ah, and I would feed you, but I can't. So I will finish this on your behalf, okay? So good. And now we're gonna taste our 찐만두 that we steamed in our pressure cooker. And again, the same thing. I like to make a little slit on top and take a little bit of our sauce and pour it inside the stuffing. Oh, 진짜 맛있어. So good. I just said it's really, really yummy in Korean. The big difference in taste between the mandu and the 찐만두, of course, the stuffing is exactly the same, but what makes the taste a little different is that mandu is a bit runny, so your stuffing will be a little bit less salty. And the major difference in taste is really how the mandu wrapping tastes. So the mandu wrapping was a bit watery and very soft and pillowy, and the 찐만두, or steamed mandu wrapping, is a bit chewier. Kind of tastes a little bit like duck. It's just chewier taste. So I'm gonna have to finish this one too, for you, of course. Super yum. Look at our pan-fried mandu. I mean, I wish you could take a closer look at this. It's like perfectly crunchy, kind of pan-fried to a point where it's like almost chip-like. Same thing, I like to make a little slit and put some of our dipping sauce inside the stuffing. This is gonna be uber good. This pan-fried mandu almost tastes completely different from these two because of the skin being pan-fried. It just adds another layer of taste. And the pan frying came out so perfect that the dumpling wrapping is like super crunchy. I mean, the tip around here tastes like chips. Just to demonstrate, I'm just gonna eat the tip part. As you can hear, it's crunchy, it tastes like chips. This is so good. I'm gonna go back and dip a little bit more of the soy sauce and finish this off. It would be a sin to waste any dumplings, in my opinion. I mean, mandu is so good when you make it fresh from home. There's no frozen mandu out there that's gonna outbeat and outtaste your homemade mandu. I wish I could like pick this up and like let you sample one. It's so delicious. I hope you gather your friends and family at home and make loads and loads of dumplings, create memorable moments. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you enjoyed watching it, please make sure to click on the thumbs up icon button below and make sure to please subscribe, because next week we will be making kimchi mandu, and kimchi mandu is so divine. I mean, if you love kimchi, you must have kimchi mandu. So please do click on that subscribe button that you see at the corner right there. Click on that so that we could connect every Thursday and make more Korean dishes together, as well as Korean fusion dishes too. So I want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy mandu time with your friends and your family. Bye now.